Hi, my name is Izzy. I'm the PAO for the CVMA 14-7 here in Indiana. Today I'm going to be sharing a video of our last meeting. One of our members, Screw, shared a story of one of the early programs that the CVMA had. Screw's been a member of the CVMA for over 20 years, and he's going to be talking about Joe's Sock Fund. Enjoy. Have a good day.
Back in the day, when there was just very few of us, I joined the CVMA, but I'd read it up on the Kentucky side, and I don't remember there being a Kentucky one at that time. I think it was just Kentucky, and they had the history of it, and it started as their main place that they donated to was Joe's Sock Fund. Joe's Sock Fund was actually, I believe, incorporated in Massachusetts, in the Northeast. And the guy that started it noticed that at the VA, the things that the veterans needed the most, a lot of times, was socks. So he said he was going to buy some socks, and one of his friends chimed in and said, "Here's $10," and that's what started it. And over time, as they grew, CVMA was officially incorporated or recognized by the state of Missouri, and that's the beginning of the CVMA as an official entity. But the first chapter was in Kentucky. I believe I don't know for a fact, but I believe that the incorporation in Missouri happened to be because somebody lived there or they knew how to do it there, and they did that. Anyway, they talk about Joe's Sock Fund, and it grew to where they were getting not just a pair of socks, sometimes 6, a dozen, and it spread over a big area. And that was, if you've seen on the website, I posted one of the original checks, I think it was from 2002, where CVMA donated, I believe it was $825 to Joe's Sock Fund. And that was one of the first things that our nonprofit did to help veterans was Joe's Sock Fund. And as things grew, by the time I came in, Fisher House was a big deal. Everything we raised nationally, we all kicked in to Fisher House. And does anybody here not know what Fisher House is? Fisher House is for veterans. Think of Ronald McDonald House. When you have a sick child and they're like in Riley's or something, or Children's Hospital, the Shriners Hospital, they have a place for the family to stay with a kitchen and stuff so that they can live and stay close to the child that's being treated. The Fisher House was the same thing, except it was based in the area up near Ward 57 at Walter Reed, and they built houses for veterans' families to be able to stay in while their families their service member was being treated at Walter Reed or Bethesda Naval. Goes back a little bit, is not related to the CVMA, but a young man named Jim Kickless was my son's battle buddy. He caught 3 AK rounds in the back in a house in Iraq that they were doing a kick-in on, and he ended up at Ward 57 for 2 years, recuperating. Had recurrent infections, just kept going and kept going. It wasn't developed to the point as such that they had a place for her to stay, but they didn't have money for her to buy food. So we sent her $500 to get her, for not the CVMA, me and the wife. We sent him $500, sent her $500 to his mother, so she'd have food to buy, and a little bit of money to get back and forth to the hospital. Well, that was what the idea of the Fisher House was. And there are celebrities. One comes to mind was Denzel Washington. He was viewing and touring Ward 57, and he was explaining about Fisher House. The story goes, they said, "Well, how much do one of those cost?" And they told him he wrote him a check for $125,000 on the spot. That was what the CVMA from 05 till the last I remember was 2010-11. We were donating 100,000 plus a year nationally from the CVMA. I may be wrong on the amount, but I specifically remember one year it was supposed to have been over $100,000. We never got the information back at the chapter level to see the pictures or whatever, but we got that information. The Joe Sock Fund is where it all started, and that's where Kentucky raised a lot of their money and gave it to them. I gave it to Joe Sock Fund, and it expanded over time. I don't believe that it still exists. I did post the verbiage on the chat group that we're on, and if you want to find it, you can find there's a few pages of that still left. If you go to the Wayback Machine, it's the Internet Archive.
Wayback Machine.
It's called Wayback Machine, and you type in.
Is that what it's called, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
If you type in Google and you type in Wayback Machine, it'll take you to the internetarchive.org. Type in Joe Sock Fund. You should be able to pull up a couple sites. What it is a tractor bar at the top and gives you timelines. It's got little lines on it. Every time there's a line on there, it tells you that that page was captured on that date. And you can go farthest first to the left, and you can sit and watch old websites as they develop and then finally faded away. There's a couple on there that explains exactly what the Sock Fund is, and it's not easy to use. It's archaic, but it works. And as I tinker around more on there, I'll see what else I can find about the CVMA. You can find some of the old CVMA pages from different states from 10, 15, 20 years ago on there. And you can even find the beginnings of the national web page that we all go to now on there, but I don't remember how far back it goes. A lot of the links that you click on, sometimes they will work, and those links will have been archived, and you'll be able to pull stuff up. I use it a lot to cheat because I find old motorcycle parts that way, or find old parts that I remember. They used to make something like that, and I can go find it. But there's a lot on there from the CVMA and what we've done over the years. But that's curiously, it's not in our history on the national page. I don't know why.
Yeah, there's history there, but not back that far.
And back in the day, I got it off the internet. There was a page called MC Protocol 101, and it was written by a 1%er, and he was basically laying stuff out, not so much for the 1% clubs, but for the writing associations, the writing clubs, the associations, and the nonprofits. That I gave the page to, I gave the information and a copy of it to the state rep at that time, and I believe it was Blaster at that time, and it found its way onto our national web page with a few changes here and there. There was nobody to credit for writing it, but what you see today when it starts talking about motorcycle protocol, MC protocol, a lot of that stems back to the page that I found originally on the internet and printed out and provided. I'm not saying I wrote it, because I didn't. I'm not trying to take any kind of credit for it. I'm just saying, you find these interesting things, history or things that you may think, hey, that kind of applies to us, pass it up. They may take it and say, hey, yeah, we need to do a little bit more research, but it can turn into a productive document or information for our members nationally.